we're going to talk about double-digit multiplication. That means when you're multiplying and both numbers have 2 digits in them. Okay, so before we learn the standard algorithm, we're going to talk about it 2 different ways. We're going to talk about it with the place value chart and with the area model. Now, the big reason you're going to learn them this way with the place value chart and then later with the area model is so you can see what numbers can do. If I only teach you the standard algorithm, which is probably what you'll end up using for the most part, most people use that, all you're doing is learning some rules and you don't understand what the numbers are doing. So I'm going to show you that first. That's why we're going to work on it this way. If the place value model makes the most sense to you, or the area model ends up making so much sense and you want to do it that way, then you know that of course you can use those ways. Whatever is easiest for you is what you're going to use. So I'm going to practice this one. I'm going to do this one and show you. And then we're going to practice on the sheet you have. All right. So I'm going to show you, remember the associative property? It means I can move numbers around however I want to. I can break them apart. So I don't know, when I think of my times tables, I don't know 30s, but I do know 3s. I can count by 3s. So when I look at the number 30, I can break that apart. 3 times what is 30? I know 3 times 10 is 30. Okay, so I can change this into 3 times 10 times my other number, which is 21. Now, I can move these numbers around in any order. It doesn't matter what order I do them in, as long as I use all of them. So I'm going to use parentheses to show what 2 numbers I'm going to multiply together first. I can do 3 times 10, figure out that number, which would be 30, and take that times 21. I could do, I'll erase these. I could do 10 times 21, if that was easiest, and then multiply that by 3. Or I could switch them all around. I could do 21 times 3, and then whatever that answer is, I can multiply that by 10. Okay, numbers can move around however I need them to in multiplication, and I can break them apart to make them easier. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of erasing. We're going to start by doing 10 times 21 because I know that I can cover up that 0. And then what would 1 times 21 be? 21, and I can put that 0 back on. But let's show it on the place value chart just to prove that we have it right. So I'm going to make 21 on my place value chart. That's 2 10s and 1 1. When I multiply anything by 10, I'm going to move it over by, if I do it by 10, by 100, by 1,000, I'm going to move over on the place value chart to the left. For every 0, that's how many spaces over I move. So if I want to do my 2 10s times 10, I'm going to take those and I'm going to move them over. So times 10 right here. So now instead of 2 10s, I have 2 hundreds. Instead of 1 1, because I multiply by 10, I have 1 10. So how many hundreds do I have? 2. So that would be 200. How many 10s do I have? 1. And how many 1s do I have? 0. So my number is 210, just like we said. Now, I'm going to erase this. We know that that's 210. I have 2 hundreds, 1 10. Now I need to multiply it by 3. Okay, so that means I need 3 groups of whatever I have there. There's 1 group of 2, 2 groups of 2, 3 groups of 2. Okay, how many is that? 2, 4, 6. I have 6 hundreds, and then I need 3 groups, because I'm multiplying by 3, I need 3 groups of 1s. 1, 2 groups, 3 groups. So how many 10s do I have? 3. And how many 1s do I have? 0. So 10 times 21 times 3 equals 630. So my answer, 30 times 21 equals 630. Okay, so we're going to practice that. We're going to do a few of them together, and then you're going to stop and take some time to work on it on your own. You'll pause the video before going on to the area model. So right now, I want you to get your paper. It says practice with video. Oops. All right, you're gonna grab it, put it on your desk, on your clipboard. It doesn't really matter. I want you to look at the problem we have. The two factors we have are 40 and 22. And we want to know what that equals, because it's factor times factor equals what? Product. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is just look at all the different ways that we can solve this problem. Okay, now this is not part of solving it. I'm just showing you that there are different ways that you can do it. All right, so 40 times 22. Well, here's our 22. What can we do with 40? We can break it apart and make it what times 10? 4. So you can write that down. I can do 4 times 10 and then times 22. That's the same as 40 times 22. Or we can switch them around. We have 10 times 22 here, so what number are we missing? We can only use these factors. There's 3 factors now, and that's okay. 4 times 10 times 22, so we can only use those numbers right now unless we broke this 22 up, but we're not going to do that. So 10 times 22 times 4, or 10 times 4 times 22. So we could do it any way we want to. Okay? So for me, when there's a 10 in there, the easiest way is this bigger one, or this middle one, excuse me, where I go 10 times 22. So I want you to make 22 on your place value chart. How many 10s is that? 2. And how many 1s is that? 2. Put it in your place value chart. Okay, so let's put a star or a check mark or something by this one so we know what we're doing. We have 22 on the place value chart. We need to multiply it by 10. So each set is moving which direction? If I multiply by 10, it moves to the left, 1 place value. So these 2 10s, when I multiply by 10, now I have 2 hundreds. Write that down. And these 2 1s, when I multiply them by 10, I now have, my pen doesn't like to write up like that. I now have 2 10s. Okay? So I've done this first part. I've done the 10 times 22. Now I need to multiply it by 4. Because I broke this 40 apart. I said it's 4 times 10. And I already multiplied the 22 by 10. So now I need to multiply this answer by 4. And I can see that how many hundreds do I have? I have 2 hundreds and 2 10s. What number would that be? 220. Okay? And that's just like, you know, the little trick when you do 10 times anything or something that ends in 0, cover up that 0. So now I have 1 times 22, that'd be 22. And I put the 0 back on, that's 220. Okay? Now we need to have 4 groups of that. So in my hundreds, I want you to do this too. You're going to make 4 groups of 2. So you already have 1 group of 2. Make 2 groups of 2, 3 groups, 4 groups. And then count them, and let's write that number down. 2, 4, 6, 8. How many hundreds do we have? We have 8 hundreds. Good. Now do it to the 10s. It's going to be the same thing because here there were 2 and we need 4 groups. So 4 groups of 2 is 8. It doesn't matter which place value it's in. It's still going to be the same. So make 3 more groups. So you have 4 groups of 2, and then count them again. 2, 4, 6, 8. You still have 8. But now they're 10. So I have 8 hundreds and 8 tens. How many ones do I have? 0. So what's my answer? 880. That's the product. Okay? So the factors are 40 and 22, and the product is 880. Good. I want you to follow along again. I want you to check as we do this. We'll do this one together. But I want you to be checking yourself. Make sure that you're saying the numbers with me, that you're not just writing things down. Don't look afterwards and try to write it down. Say it with me. Okay, so this problem, tell me the 2 factors. 50 and 31. We read it as 50 times 31. All right? We're going to break this apart. Break apart your 50. What can I break that into? What times what? 5 times 10. Okay? Take just a second and fill in this next line. What's the missing factor? And then check it with mine. It was missing that 10. So now I can do 10 times 31 times 5. Or what's that other way I can do it? I have to use all these factors, 5, 10, and 31. But do it differently. What haven't we multiplied together first? 31 and 5. So put that in the parentheses. And what do we have to multiply that by? 10. Now, on a place value chart, whenever we're doing it, it's always easiest to multiply by 10 first. So we're going to use this second one so we know what we're doing. So put the number 31 into your place value chart and then check it with mine. $31 is 3 tens and 1 1. We're going to multiply that by 10. I want you to do that quickly and then check it with mine. Notice we're going to multiply them by 10, so they're going to move to the left. 1 place value. Write them down and check it with mine. My 3 tens become 3 hundreds. My 3 ones become 110. So I have 310. That's the number. Now I have to multiply it by 5. Okay, so I need 5 groups of whatever I have. I need 5 groups of 3, 5 groups of 1. I want you to write it, and I want you to write the, count them up, and write the number at the bottom, how many you have. Okay, check it with mine. Go quickly. Check to see if yours looks like mine. I have 5 groups of 3, 5 groups of 1. Okay, so what do I have total? I'm going to count by 5s because 5s are just easier for me. So there's 5, 10, 15. Write that down. And then how many 1s do I have? 5. And how many, I'm sorry, 10s. How many 10s did I have? I had only groups of 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And how many 1s do I have? Remember, I moved that one over, so there's 0 there. Okay? So if you look at it, we can say this answer. I have 15 hundreds, 5 tens. Right? This number here is 50, so I could say 1550. But we know we can only have 1 digit in each place value. So what do we have to do? Say it out loud. We have to bump it over. We call it, you could bump it, you could group it. We bump that 1 over here, okay, and take it off of there. But literally what you're doing, you're able to do this on Zurn, so I want you to do it with your pencil. I can take a group of 10 hundreds and move them over. So 3, 6, 9, and one more. Take a group of 10 and move it over there. 10 hundreds, I'm not multiplying, I'm just moving. 10 hundreds equals 1,000. 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. That's the number, but that's not how many I have. I just have 1,000, so my number is there. So it's 1,550. Okay, that's our product. 1,500. Excuse me, I read it wrong. 50. All right, these next two are yours to do. So I want you to pause the video. You can do one and then check back with mine. So I'm going to go a lot faster when I answer them because you're just checking it. If you have problems as you're going, I want you to make sure that you're asking the sub. If you really are unsure of what to do, you could partner up with somebody. All right, so pause the video and work on this first one, and then play the video and check the answer. Okay, we broke 20 up into 2 times 10 times 42. On the next line, I'm just moving them around. 2 times 10 times 42, or I can do 10 times 2 times 42. I always go with that middle one when we're doing place value. So it's 4 tens, 2 ones, multiply that by 10, that moves over. So now I have 4 hundreds and 2 tens. Okay, that would be 420, and I need to multiply it by 2. I need 2 groups of those. So now I have 8 hundreds, 4 tens, 2, 4, and 0 ones. So 20 times 42 equals 840. Okay, if you have questions, if you need to go back and watch that, do that again. If you have a question, you could ask the sub, you could ask a partner. But again, I want you to pause the video. I want you to do this last one. There's less digits filled in there for you. I want you to figure out what are the 3 different ways we can multiply 30 times 52. Break that number up, do those, choose the one that's easiest. I'm going to tell you that middle one's going to be the easiest because when you're on the place value chart, moving by 10 is really all you can do when we multiply. So use that middle one, and I want you to try and finish it on your own, and then play the video again to check your answer. I'm going to go through it fast because it's just for you to check. Okay, pause. All right, 30 breaks into 3 times 10 times 52. Oh my goodness, I made a mistake. I hope you checked that or saw that. That should have been a 3 right there. I hope you fixed that. Oh, I didn't figure that out before I told you to pause, so I hope you figured that out. That should be 3 times 10 times 52. Or I could do 10 times 3 times 52. And we're going to use that middle one. Okay, now, if for some reason you didn't catch my mistake right there, then your answer is going to be a little different. I'm going to go with the 3, and then I'll show you quick with the 2, just in case you did the 2. So if you did the 2, I don't want you to think, oh, I'm so wrong. Nah, you just did 20 times 52. So I'm going to finish this one first, and then I'll show you 20 times 52. Okay, so 52 is 5 tens, 2 ones. I move them to the left because I multiplied by 10. So now it's 5 hundreds and 2 tens, just like that. And then I'm going to multiply them by 3. So I need 3 groups of them, 3 groups of 5 hundreds, that's 15 hundreds, and 3 groups of 2, that's 6 tens and 0 ones. Okay, and I know that I can't have 2 digits in one place value, so I just have to move that 1 over, which means that I'm literally taking a group of hundreds and moving them over. So I have 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900, 1,000. So it's 1,560. That's my answer. 1,560. Now, if you only did it times 2, well, you would just have one less group in each. So then you would have had 10 hundreds. You would have had 4 10s and 0 1s, and you would have taken those 10 hundreds and made 1,000. So if you multiply by 2, your answer will be 1,040. I want you to stop there with the video. I'm going to make a second video for the back with the area model. I want you to do the problem set of these. So take some time with that, and then you can watch the next video with the area model to check those.